So this is number 1 on the Target 4 homework, the proofs. I don't have a picture of it on the screen, but if you just look in your packet, it's just number 1 from Target 4 homework. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it first. Okay, so my step 1, I'm just going to go ahead and write out my givens. So I have that Q is parallel to R. And I'm going to write my givens in red. So I'm just going to say, or I'm going to write my reasons in red. Sorry, that's just given. All right, so my step 2, I'm going to go ahead and say that I can't use the alternate exterior angles theorem, so I'm going to go from 1 to 2 instead of straight to from 1 to 3. So I'm going to say something about 1 and 2. Well, it's clear to me that 1 and 2 are vertical angles, so I'm going to state that next. So 1 and 2 are vertical angles. I'm going to do a bunch of abbreviating here. So this is just the definition of vertical angles, VA. All right, so I actually know something about vertical angles. I know that vertical angles are congruent. That's from the vertical angle congruency theorem. So I'm going to say that 1 and 2 are congruent. 1 is congruent to 2. And that is from that vertical angle congruency theorem. Doing a lot of abbreviating. I can draw an arrow there. And then step 4, I can go ahead and say that 2 and 3 are corresponding angles. Just kind of making all the observations I can. I might abbreviate corresponding later in the videos, but I'll just write it up for now. So, I didn't mean to put that. So this reason would just be the definition of corresponding angles. And don't forget, corresponding angles are just angles that are in the same position as each other. So if you kind of tilt your head a little bit, 2 and 3 are both in the bottom left-hand corner of their sets of 4. So then I know that corresponding angles are congruent. So for step 5, I can go ahead and say that 2 is congruent to 3. And that's actually just the corresponding angles theorem. And I can draw an arrow between 4 and 5. A couple more steps here. Actually, just one. So I finally got a couple of these congruency statements that I can finally use my transitive property now. So I was trying to say that 1 and 3 were congruent, and because of step 3 and step 5, I can use my transitive property and say that if 1 and 2 are congruent and 2 and 3 are congruent, then 1 and 3 are congruent. So I'll go ahead and do step 6 over here. Finally, I can say angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent. And that reason is just the transitive property. From step 3 and step 5. And I'm done.